Today I have pleasure of hosting Daniel Kötter, participant of international selection of 17 Underhill festival. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Can you tell us something about your movie that is going to be played tomorrow night?
So yes, my movie is called Kukata Miti, which is Swahili, African language, and means cutting trees. So it's a film about the relation between human beings and the forest. And we worked in three very different locations on this film. First of all, in Germany, where I grew up, in the region where I grew up. Then in Indonesia, Kalimantan, which is where there's a lot of rainforest still, but even more palm oil plantations. And in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo in Africa. So these are the three locations that we're covering, and it's very different stories about humans in the forest. And it's obviously also very violent.
So it begins with the quest for finding a forest, even in Germany. How challenging is to find a forest?
I mean, of course, there's still a lot of forest around the globe and in Germany, but one of the starting points for the film for me was that the landscapes that I knew from my childhood that were forested suddenly changed because of a bark beetle plague, and now it's deforested. And so I was shocked to see the landscape of my childhood completely differently. But of course, it's regrowing, but it was also a chance to rethink forests in Germany again.
Wood is obviously connected to the fire and that instinct to heat yourself, to take shelter. How did the approach of us human changed over the centuries, millenniums towards tree? How did we go from using wood for heat to, like mass production and cutting trees without much thinking?
I mean, it's even nowadays there is very different approaches to forests. It's not only historic, but of course there is a certain approach to forest that economizes the forest in a capitalist way. So the trees and everything living alive in the forest is just an object that you can economize, that you can make money with. And that's kind of a Western method, no? That was invented 500 years ago and is still prevailing.
Like industrial revolution or something.
Yeah, for example, it's just also a mindset that we started to lose the understanding for the forest being a partner, of humans and being also alive, having a soul. But you can still find these ideas and these cosmologies in other places. For example, in the Dayak, which is the indigenous location in Kalimantan in Indonesia, or also in the east of Congo. So you have several concepts of relating to the forest.
And that's where magic realism comes to place. How did that take part in your film? How did you make that magical realism, that fascination with forest legends part of your film?
I mean, I think the film is less a film about ecology in general, but it's more about how we tell the story of the relation between humans and the forest. So we were very interested in the question, how can we tell that story? So even in the German part, we start with a fairy tale from Brothers Grimm, about so a romantic idea about the forest, and then we try to find connections of that story in Indonesia and in Congo.
Where the forest is a source of food.
The forest is a source of food. The forest is a shelter. The forest is a partner in designing our earth, So it can help us, but it of course can also be a danger for human beings. And it was always an economic source. I mean, food is also something to make economy with.
There is a lot of tree cutting in the movie. Were there some tree hugging during filming?
During filming, yes, I think, I don't know if I personally were hugging trees, but the film ends with a story in Congo of this woman who is fleeing from these perpetrators that abducted and raped her, and she finds shelter in a tree for several days inside of a tree. So actually the tree is hugging her, It's not the humans hugging the trees, but the tree hugging her, which is also the end actually of this fairy tale, the German fairy tale that we used, that this little girl in the forests lost
That
is being
concludes the
hugged
circle.
by a tree.
Yeah.
So yes, there is human hugging by trees actually.
Okay, so that's even more exotic. Nice. How challenging was it to make a movie on three different contents? So what were some of the difficulties that you faced?
I mean, first of all, it's a film that's only 80 minutes long, so the challenge was how to pack something that is shot in so different places in a relatively short time. But I have to say that this project is not my first project in these regions, and so I have a network of collaborations. The film is done together with an Indonesian artist called Iqbal Lubis and a Congolese journalist and women rights activist Olan Biamungu, with who I did projects before. So the networks were already there. We went to the same places, especially in Congo, to the same village where Hollande was growing up. So it was actually less difficult than you might imagine, because I was used to the regions, used to the situations, all the contacts were there.
Familiarity was.
Yes, but of
was
course,
there.
I mean, we were shooting and filming in regions that, especially in Congo, that usually white people like me or even TV teams wouldn't go to. So there is challenges in terms of the social situation, in terms of the terrain, yeah, like going deep into the forest with the equipment. Of course, that wasn't easy. Yeah.
And you said that you like to do editing yourself. Is that harder way? Maybe sometimes movie makers cannot detach themselves from their shots, and how difficult it is for you to do that.
I mean, on one hand, I really love to work collaboratively. I mean, as I just mentioned, I didn't do the film by myself, but there is a bunch of people on the ground in Indonesia and Congo and Germany that were helping me, that I was collaborating with. But when it comes to filming, I do camera and editing myself. I kind of feel these are the crucial things of filmmaking, where you design and decide on time relations and on.
One very hard question for the end.
Okay.
For movies like Letterboxd style that influenced you, or that you like, or that you saw recently, that you would recommend to our audience?
Four.
I
I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Not necessarily related to my film, but a film that I always have to think about and come back. It's kind of an old film from Bolivia by a master called Jorge Sanjines. It's called the Courage of the People, El Coraje del Pueblo, which is a very interesting film between documentary and fiction, because it restages with the same people like insurgency that was ended with a huge massacre. So that's a film that everyone should see, and it's not very well known. A more recent film that inspires me a lot currently, the more I think about it, is, and it was on many festivals, is The Human Search 3 by Eduardo Williams, which is shot with a 360-degree camera, and I worked on 360-degree documentaries, but then he edits sort of with a VR glass for the cinema version, which changes cinema for me. And it's also in between documentary and fiction. I'm usually interested in hybrids,
another one on the board.
forms,
Yeah, okay.
And one of my other favorite films, Ota Yosseliani. It's also an old film, Ota Yosseliani's Pastorale, because I'm interested in rural, urban contexts.
All the recommendations are somehow connected to your movie in a way.
They're connected to things I'm interested in and what I think cinema should be about, because cinema is a lot about money these days and about like conventional storytelling, and those films try to do it very differently.
So you avoid doing TV films because of that reason, for more creative freedom?
For many reasons, because if you don't do TV, you have more time in development, so you can be a bit more precise in the research, So, and that will change your stories, and it will change the way you look at things. It will also change your editing and your camera work. if you don't have to go back to the conventions, because you just have a day of shooting and you have to finish your story.
Daniel, thank you for taking your time to have a conversation with us. It was a pleasure, and I hope your movie will have a great reception tomorrow evening.
Thank you very much.
Come to Montenegro many times.
I've been here a couple of times. I love the country, I love the landscape, so I'm a landscape person.
You were even in the 70s here with your parents, you mentioned in Budva.
Yes, as a baby.
Okay, so you saw our nature undevastated.
I entered Montenegro with the mother milk, so to say.
Okay, once again, thank you. It was a pleasure.